Okay. Hello. Good evening. Yeah, I was like 5 minutes late tonight. 8 minutes. Ooh. Sorry. We're here though. How are you doing, Fire? Hey Arthur, how are you? How's it goings? Pretty good, pretty good. Awesome. Hope you're all staying like nice and healthy and entertained as much as you can be inside. Staying indoors. I'm actually curious, is there I guess there would be like quite a few countries where people don't have to stay inside quite yet, or hopefully ever. But for the most of us, we're all just kind of, you know, vibing inside. At least that's what I hope. Everybody's kind of like holding up. That's what I would hope, anyways. Yeah, so welcome and welcome again. I am Ashley. I'm a character artist, character artist twice. I'm a sculptor, and I typically do concept sculpts in ZBrush, starting from a sphere. During these sessions, they're like 4 hours long, chill vibes, whatever. We're not like, you know, we're not going crazy ham on this, but if you do want to like sculpt along with me, feel free. Like 4 hours is usually like a really good amount of time to get some kind of something done, I find anyways. So feel free to sculpt along if you'd like. Pixologic does offer a free trial for ZBrush. I think it's 30 days for 2020, and that's available now. Also, a new version of ZBrush is available too. I think there was a pop-up that kept coming up for me, so check that out if you haven't as well. Not like a whole new version, just sort of like a patch, I'm pretty sure. Hey Wipeout, hey Raven, what's up? Not much. The garden, yeah, you've got a yard, I guess. That must be nice. That must be really nice. I still get out to walk my doggo, but Monty unfortunately went ham on his bone recently. Like, he was chewing so hard that he busted up one of his back teeth really bad. And we did a video call with the vet, and they were like, yeah, that's kind of an emergency thing. So last Wednesday I wasn't streaming because my boobs, my stinky bear, Monty boy, had to get a tooth extraction. Ugh. So that sucked, but he is handling it really well, and he doesn't even, he's just like, he's ready to play. He's like, I don't even notice that there's anything different. I'm like, hell yeah. But that sucked, so yeah. yeah, it sucks, but he is happier now. I'm pretty sure that probably was hurting him quite a bit, so I'm glad that at least he's doing a lot better. Hey Bobbles, hey Sade. Alright guys, so we're gonna get started here in just a second. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me as usual. But I'm just gonna get started here and start doing, I guess, like really like anything. I don't really know what we're gonna do per se. Never really do, to be honest. But I think that's the beauty of it, right? And do not fear, with all of these sort of nasties that are happening, I kind of end up using that for character and creature creation, so do not fear. Kinda thinking like this. What kind of PC am I rocking with? Oh, it's pretty decent, honestly. I built it a little while ago. It was near Christmas. No, it was a little bit earlier than, yeah, it was like last fall I built it. I'm using the Ryzen 9. It's the first time I've actually gone with Ryzen. Like, I'm usually an AMD. Like, I'm Intel, but Ryzen 9, I was just like, so I tried it out and I'm not disappointed at all, dude. I've got 64 gigs of RAM, which is overkill. You don't need that much for something like ZBrush. You really don't. Like, I was using 16 gigs before and getting away with that and doing what I was doing. You can use like 32, no problem, but I have 64, so it's ridiculous. I've got an RTX 2070 for a GPU, just one graphics card. It'd probably be better in the future to kind of like think about stacking, but then I'd have to get a different motherboard, and because my motherboard is kind of like the shittiest part of my build, but you know, whatever. it does the trick. It's like one of the gaming series, the Aurora's gaming, like 570 or something like that. No, not that one. I don't know. It was like one of the cheaper ones of the Aurora's section. I can't remember right now. And I don't have any RGB at all in my case. None. Nope. No, don't care. It sits under my desk. I don't need to see that. Basic. How's my week been? It's been pretty good. It's been pretty chill. Just doing like a little bit of, you know, contract work here and there. It's not been a super busy week for me, but the last like couple of weeks before that was really intense. Like, I had a lot of work and I was really stressed out because of taking Monty to the vet during a time like this. Like, it was really like it sucked for him, but you know, he's good now. But I was like really like, I was pretty stressed out about that. I'm sure he was really stressed out too, but he's good now, so. The poor bubs, the poor bubs. He's one tooth lighter, one whole tooth lighter. That's what happens. Now he's not getting any hard bones, essentially. Like, if I can't make a dent in the toy that he is playing with, he's not getting it. He's too much of a spaz chewer, and I don't want to have to take him for like multiple tooth extractions because he decided to just go like, to just wreck his mouth, just like. Because like, I brush his teeth and everything, like the denter, the vets even say like we hardly ever see dogs with as clean of teeth as he has, which is like, thank you. I brush his teeth almost every day. But yeah, he's a bit of a spaz chewer, so can't give him those hard bones anymore. Otherwise he's gonna be like, he's not gonna have any teeth. Yeah, he broke one of his back, like, top teeth. He's like, it's only been a week since we got it removed too, and it's already like, he's doing so well. Like, I'm like, good boy, trooper, man. But he's been like, so he hasn't had any like solid food. It's all been wet food. So essentially it's just like, for the last like he's not on painkillers anymore, but he was. So it was just like, hey, you're on painkillers and you're eating the equivalent of doggy McDonald's every day. I mean, it's not so bad, right? It's not so bad. Did I take this idea? No, I'm just messing around. That's usually what happens here. It's just sort of like a chill sesh where we just kind of sculpt something random and talk and answer ZBrush related questions and talk about, you know, how everything is a salad. All right, let's see. What else do I want to do here? I think right now is we're gonna be doing something a little bit more abstract. If you couldn't tell. Actually, let's... Yes. Because I want to, like, try some different kinds of shapes. Let me get this. I feel like I could inflate balloon it. What am I doing? There we go. What am I working on? I don't really know, man. It's just like something for funs. Also, hi to everybody above that I didn't say hi to individually. Hello, everyone. Hi, 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 hi. Hi, hi, hi. You have a very specific question. Can you take a DXF outline and import it into ZBrush? I wouldn't be able to tell you that one. I am not 100% sure. If you see over here, like, you know, you can always like try to import by clicking import, and if you see the file, you can try, but I don't actually know. I've not had to do that personally. But, you know, there's always the, sorry, there's always, what's it called? The ZBrush, website. Hi, I can talk. Do I want this? I'm trying to think right now, like, what I want to do here. Do I want to do, like, something more? Don't really know what this would be right now, but playing with shapes, so you don't always need to know what it is that you're sculpting. If you like the shapes that you're creating, then you can always kind of like figure it out afterwards. Not everything that you do always has to be like 100% like something realistic. You always do something abstract just for fun, you know? Okay, I think here, give this more. I just realized my socials are still up on the screen. Sorry, guys. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Oh, hey, Frederick, how are you doing? How's it going? How do you learn ZBrush? Did you figure it out or did you take a class? Okay, so I started learning ZBrush when I was in college, but college wasn't teaching me ZBrush. It was like I was in school for 2D animation and I realized I didn't want to be an animator, and my my friend at the time, now boyfriend, was learning ZBrush from like some game course or something like that, and he was just like really excited about it, and I was like, hey, what the heck is that you're doing? Can I try it? But I wasn't in that course, so I started just messing around, and he made fun of me, and you know, then I was just like, haha, but it's fun though. And then it just kind of started going from there, and just like I would look up random tutorials on YouTube here and there just to get a hold of the navigation and stuff. But that's essentially how it happened. I didn't really like go to school for it or anything, but I just kind of like smacked my head against the wall until I got it. Oh, jeez. All right. Let's I'm just gonna use a bunch of rings. I'm kind of like, I feel like doing that. Let's see what we can do with just like a ton of rings. I feel like we could do a lot. I feel like we can make a lot happen, you know? What a weird challenge. Just make stuff out of rings, huh? Why don't we try it? Why don't we do that today? Because, you know, every day I just do something completely stupid. Complete stupid challenges. But it's fun! What can we make with a ring? Let's do some AccuCurve. Ooh. 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 I have no idea what we're doing right now. We'll figure it out. I think we can, I think we honestly can make something probably pretty interesting with just a bunch of rings. I'm getting a couple of ideas here. Just need to really like play with these. You bought a book for ZBrush? I mean, yeah, if that helps you. Like, the thing is, like, there's like a lot of really great stuff online as well. If the book doesn't explain something properly to you, you could always just hear. Actually, I have text for it that I could just shove up onto the screen for you. Here you go. So there's a really good site for you. Am I a concept designer? Yeah, I'm like, you know, yes. Yeah, so I'm a 3D concept artist, and also a character artist slash designer. It's sort of like this in between. I'm a character sculptor, right? So, you know, different studios will have different names for my title, but essentially I kind of come in where character design is supposed to come in. Now, what that means is, like, you know, I'm usually in R&D, so what happens is you know, somebody, either the director or another artist, like a principal artist, will create some sort of like a sketch or have some sort of a verbal idea of what it is that they want to do, and then they say, this is what we want to do, can you do that in 3D, so that when we pitch the idea to the client or whoever is funding the project, they can see it better. Because a lot of the time when you have 2D drawings, a lot of clients can't interpret what that's going to actually look like, right? Because not everybody has that like artistic eye, like not everybody's able to kind of just see a 2D image and know how that's going to translate. So that's where a job like this kind of comes in, is because then I can kind of take whatever sketch is there and do essentially what like a designer would do and work out the kinks of the design, while also putting it forward a step into the 3D pipeline already, right? So it's kind of like streamlining that process of working out the kinks of character design, while at the same time kind of like throwing it into the pipeline. Do you know what I mean? So it's like not every pipeline is going to want to use that sort of approach, but it is more in line with like character design, I would say, a lot of the time. But I also do character art as well, so retopology, texturing, blah 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 blah. But I really do enjoy concept art, illustration. I just like art, man, you know. But the most common thing that you'll see me doing is definitely the R&D stuff, like I just said. I'm wondering if I actually want that or not. I don't think I want this. I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't like it. What I'm gonna do instead . And I kind of want to like give it like limbs on the side. I don't even know. I'm gonna hide these for now as well, because I don't even know about that. I think I want to go in a different direction with this thing. Which that's another thing too, is like, you know, when you're not really sure about what you're doing, don't be precious at all with anything that you do. No preciousness. Okay, so now that there's that, I kind of want to go and put a big ol' arm . Big ol' arm. I'll work from there. give it some sort of like a lower chest. So this entire thing is just neck. Just neck. Neck for days. Actually, I'm gonna have its like elbows kind of like reversed. Not reversed, but it's like almost like double jointed. Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna change up these hands a lot too. I always just like use like these like IMMs that kind of come with ZBrush just as like a quick base thing for quick stuff. I have a lot of actual like kind of kit bashy stuff that I use like from my other projects and things. But for the sake of this stream, I'm like, why not just like sculpt it? Why not just use the stuff that's already kind of there? So I could go in and just like mash a bunch of the stuff together that I've already done. It would be really fast. Or we could just take our time and enjoy the process, you know? I feel like that's also part of it. Enjoying the process. I'm still using just like the base like sphere too. I haven't done anything. I'm just like working really like low poly, and not even just like low poly, but just like allowing the artifacts to exist, because you're gonna see like when you're doing like really sketchy stuff, allowing the artifacts to just be there actually kind of helps in the later stages. If you do work like this. If you don't work like this, then they will completely bork your model. But if you work the way that I work with like a lot of dynameshing and things like that, then they're kind of a godsend. They're really like, they make everything a lot faster. Essentially right now it's like the equivalent of what I'm doing is in 2D, like if you had a pencil and you would just kind of like sketch down guidelines, that's essentially kind of what I'm doing right now. And then when I dynamesh everything and start adding in more detail, that's when I would be kind of like cleaning up those sketch lines essentially, right? Shove that. All right, I'm mixing like a lot of this chat. What's going? What's good? What's Gucci gang? All right, let's see. Have I tried Sculptress? Yes. The Sculptress Pro. Okay, so in ZBrush there's a function called Sculptress Pro. I use that, but I haven't used the actual like standalone really old version, which is just Sculptress. Like I haven't done anything to do with that. Hey Javid, how are you? Yeah, Pablo has like a lot of really good content for learning ZBrush and bettering yourself even if you're a professional. Like he's got a lot of like tips and tricks. Like he's like a trick master essentially. Like if you want to know something cool that you can do in ZBrush, Pablo, man, he's got like so many like little nifty little things, and it's really great to know all that stuff too. Yeah, spider, yeah. It's got like spidery stuff. I don't know. We'll see what goes on with it. You also do cartoons and caricatures like heavy metal. That's pretty cool. Heavy metal stuff's really cool. What have I worked on other than characters? Like, what do you mean? Like I made the Are you baiting me? I recently did, like on the weekend, I did that Blender tutorial for the donuts just for shits and giggles. Yeah, I like going in different directions all the time. Like if something's not working, just kill it and try again. How do I find time to do all of this? I kick bash. Okay, we're doing that again, the MMA thing. How can I put my custom brushes on ZBrush Guide for free? How can you put on ZBrush Guides? I don't know if Pablo does. ZBrush Guides is Pablo's website, so I don't. You'd have to talk to him if you wanted to partner with him, I think. Yeah, occasionally, Metal Dragon, occasionally I do use Sculptress Pro mode. For usually really tiny things that if I were to Dynamesh, I wouldn't be getting like, or I don't want to Dynamesh, right? Then I'll use Sculptress Pro, but a lot of the time, just for defining shapes and stuff like that, I won't bother with Sculptress Pro. I'll just kind of let the artifacts do their artifacty thing. Hey, Rodrigo! Oh, the clay pack. I really want to try those brushes. That's on my list of things that like I really want to try out because those look really cool. You wanted to eat the donuts I made? Thank you. The Blender donuts. Yes, I know. Did you miss a tutorial from me on my Discord? No, I didn't put any tutorials down on the Discord. Why? Is there something specific that you wanted to know? Like I didn't drop any tutorials. Unfortunately. Okay, let's get back to this. Could do that or not. Good. So when I'm kind of like throwing down like, you know, shapes, gesture, whatever form, you can see the kind of like thumbnail in the corner there. What I'm looking for is sort of like a continued line of action. So I'm going with like this really extreme sort of circle right now. That line has to come off in a really nice arc from its body in order for it to work with the overall kind of circular thing that I'm doing. So if I were to kind of like just like, you know, have these like hang down like this, it kind of breaks that flow that I'm kind of like going for, but this in general needs to be more pushed. And again, I'm going with more of a abstract thing than I am with something that would be, you know, a real life creature. This, I kind of wanted to give it like I said, like a backwards elbow. Even that then needs to kind of do that. I want to take like a different take on, like, you know, the it kind of reminds me of what is that, like the DreamWorks, you know, like the DreamWorks kids sitting on the moon fishing. Totally like that, exactly like that. This is the man on the moon. Where's my doggo? He's just chilling. He's relaxing right now. Oh my god, Monty's not traumatized at all. He's living his best life. Living a good life. Don't even. He's not traumatized. Then what is the blender donut thing that I'm talking about? Oh, I mean, yeah, I made a donut in Blender. I don't know. Here, I'll show you. I definitely can further say now though, like, especially, even though like I'm not a Blender noob, like this is not my first time I've ever done anything in Blender, but it's been over a year since I touched it, because I was doing Blender work when I was working for like on next gen, but when I was working on next gen, we never used Blender's sculpting tools because they're honestly not up to par with ZBrush at all. And I revisited Blender this weekend just to do the donut tutorial by Blender Guru, which is a really great tutorial, by the way. It's a really good tutorial, but I have to say, I'm still standing by. It is like, Blender does not hold a torch to something like ZBrush. It's not something that you can just like say, yeah, I'm gonna replace ZBrush with like there's no, I don't care how much of a Blender head you are, like there is no way in hell that it comes even close to as good. But you know, with that said, this is the donut. And this is the tutorial right here. So I'll like, that's on my Twitter, by the way, if you wanted it. I'm not gonna like link it here. Oh god, you're definitely trolling. No, it is not better at all. One thing that is really nice though is cycles, the cycles render. So like if you were to sculpt something in ZBrush and render it with cycles, you'd be in Gucci mode. But like there's nothing, sculpting wise, it does not hold a torch. It doesn't. And if you think it does, that means that what you're doing is simple enough, and that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. I'm not dissing you. Okay, I'm not dissing you at all, but it means that what you're doing is simple enough that it's not, you don't need like to sculpt a ton. But if you are doing like VFX creature work or anything like, you know, stuff for AAA games. It's like, good luck using their tools for that, you know what I mean? ZBrush is definitely the go-to. Just so much better. Let's do a couple more. No, honestly, no, I don't care. Like, there's a lot of, like, as soon as you mention something like Blender, there's a lot of trolling that goes on in the comments, and like all of the evangelists or whatever, like the diehard Blender nuts come out and say like, yeah, like I've seen people do just as well in Blender that they do in ZBrush, and you know what? You're not wrong, okay? But a really good artist can take a rock and scrape a masterpiece into the sidewalk the same way that they can take a pencil and draw on a piece of paper the same drawing. One, however, is a lot more strenuous and a lot more time consuming and unnecessarily like primitive, whereas the other one is just like a lot easier to do. The program doesn't make the artist makes the program. But when you don't have a ton of tools at your disposal, it makes the process really long and strenuous. If you're a really good artist, you can go to Blender and pull your teeth out, creating a sculpt that would take you half or even a quarter of the time to do with more detail in ZBrush. That is what I'm trying to say. If you're a good artist, you can make any tool work, right? If you're a good cook, you could make a 5-star meal with a microwave. But if you had that stove, things would be a lot better and you wouldn't have to compromise, etc., etc. Okay, so that is what I have to say about that. Just like don't, okay, with your like and what I also want to say too, not to try and like attack people, because I don't want any attacking to happen with this, and I understand where that sort of like dedication to the program comes from, because it's free, they offer everything for free. However, when you're coming across as just like a black and white kind of like no gray area type person, like this is the way, like I can't believe that you would pay for something or whatever, you're coming off as very close-minded, and you've also not given the other options a chance, and that's a very like sort of beginner kind of mentality to have as well, because if you were familiar with multiple other programs and you've run through multiple other programs through the pipeline, and you've familiarized yourself properly with all of these other programs that professionals use, then you would realize, oh, that's why they say this about this certain program, that's why people say that it's faster in this one or whatever. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a better result. It means you're going to get your result that you're looking for in a shorter amount of time, because it's streamlined, right? Like it's to help the artist. It's like, here's your tools, you know, don't use the stick in the rock. That's what it is. That's it. Hey Andrew. Ingredients and tools are, yeah, that's, I know they are. However, you can compromise, like, so if you're baking, and I know that you went to cooking school, I know this, dude. I know. But if you're baking, for example, and you need to substitute milk for whatever reason because you can't have dairy, and you were going to use you know, maybe butter or something in place of that, you're going to get a different result, but you're still going to get there, right? And that's sort of what I'm trying to say, is if you don't have the tools at your disposal, you can compromise and you can still get to your result. It's just not going to be the same as if you had all of the other tools available to you. That's what I'm saying. Hey Arts. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Grimm's got it. Anyways, that's me saying that. That is me saying that. What am I gonna do with this? You've been... I don't want that though. No, I don't think so. Just put it back. Put it back where I found it. There we go. Let's just do this. Wait. No, it's good. It's all good, Andrew. I was just like, I saw the like the angry heads of the blender nuts starting to go like, you know. So I was just I get into like, nah, we gotta smack some down. It's not. I'm not attacking you, dude. You good? How are you doing, by the way? My Animal Crossing dude. I haven't been on Animal Crossing for 4 days. I suck. I don't know. I've just been like so discouraged with everybody, like seeing everybody else's like pro islands, that I've just been like, nah, like there's no point in me even. I don't know. It's stupid to think that because it is just an enjoyable thing, but I also haven't really like had a ton of time to just kind of sit there and like fight. Okay, so on the Switch, one of the Joy-Cons is it's got like a drift. And I know I can buy kits to manually open it up and fix it, or buy a whole new Joy-Con, but it's got a drift. So anytime that I'm trying to walk down, I'm like fighting the joystick. So that also contributed to me not wanting to play anymore. I mean, I've been plugging it into my computer screen and just kind of like playing with the controller or whatever, but it's just like, then I have to unplug my HDMI and then plug back in, and it's so much work. I could also just do art instead. But I really want to play I don't know, whatever. Yeah, it's Minecraft with animals essentially. Not really. It's like you're building a little city, a little town, not a city, like a town, and you can customize all the like pathways, and you know, you build a little community with your animal friends, and a lot of them, like my whole island is just mean to me. Everybody's mean to me. They always just go like, oh, what's wrong with your face? And like, oh, I don't know if that's like, you know what, here, take these like camo pants instead, wear these because this will make you look better. I'm like, nah, they won't, but thanks though for dissing me. And like, I don't know. Do I like video games? Yes, I do. Yes. I am a million bells in debt with that raccoon, and I could not be bothered. I cannot be bothered. I'm so in debt. I am so in debt to that raccoon. Ugh. Okay, let's see. What do I want to do? Also, Alice, how you doing? What's good? What you doing? What you doing? What manner of creature could this be? One that I'm making in ZBrush. I'm never gonna get stuck with one. No. Yeah, and you can't be just like a one tool wonder. you gotta branch out, Hugo. You're right. You're completely right. With Twitch follow notifications is the Blender crash notification. Oh my gosh, yeah, you have that on yours, don't you? Nah. I know it's about enjoying it at my own pace, but my own pace has just been fighting my Joy-Con, so... It's my favorite animal to sculpt. I like sculpting birds of any kind. I really enjoy anything reptilian as well. Mammals are like iffy. I don't know. Like they're okay. I just haven't really found like anything particularly enticing about like so I like you know, cats and dogs and stuff like that, but I haven't found that there's like anything particular about their shapes that sticks out to me specifically. Like if I'm gonna do something like wolf-like, I usually end up like incorporating some kind of like reptilian aspect to it or something. I usually give it a lot of like sharps, you know, I don't know. It's just like a personal taste thing. It's not that those animals suck. Like all right, let's see. Let's duplicate this guy. I think I kind of want to make him touching, like, I don't know, this is gonna be like really weird. I hope you guys are okay with something like really weird. Like something that's like I said again, like really like quite abstract, probably wouldn't exist unless it's in like a really like fantasy world, you know? I want to give him like water, and like he's got like a little finger dripping with water. Oh my gosh. There we go. It's not gonna work. episodes that demonstrate creating non-symmetrical creatures in dynamic poses. I never create, like when I first start out creating creatures, like always from the very beginning, I always stay in symmetry until it doesn't need to be symmetrical anymore. So in these streams, no, like I usually keep everything pretty symmetrical because I'm just working on like shapes and stuff like that. There are a couple of episodes where I am posing though, and when I pose, it's not a symmetrical pose. A lot of the time it happens to be dynamic and asymmetric. There's like a few where there was like winged creatures even that I posed that are flying and stuff like that, so you can look back at like, you know, probably episodes like in the 80s or something like that. I was doing a lot of posing stuff. I don't know. I just kind of like start doing stuff. I'm like, oh, how many limbs can something have? To say that something specific inspired this would be a lie. We're just kind of going, you know? If you were here at the beginning, you would see that, like, this is really, it really is just random. Like, we're just kind of playing with shapes. Alright, so this, I don't want to do, actually I should save. I have not saved. We should save. Yes. In the 80s? Oh, no, not 1980s. No, I mean episode like in the 80s, 80 range of the episodes. Sorry. Oh my gosh. No, I wasn't alive in the 80s. Oh man. Did I practice bodybuilding? Why do I look so strong? Do I look strong? Hell yeah. Oh, guns. No. I mean, what? Is this a troll? Because like I was lifting before quarantine started when I was able to go to the gym. I don't own any weights, so I'm not really lifting anymore. I'm just doing body weight exercises. Like I exercise maybe 3 to 4 times a week for an hour at a time, doing like a whole bunch of different things from like a lot of core stuff. I can actually like finally see my abs, which is crazy. I've never been able to see my abs before, but yeah, it's cool. But I'm not bulking though, like I was when I was at the gym. When I was at the gym, I was really putting on muscle weight, which was cool, but now I'm just like, I'm going like really like hard lean, like super lean. I wish I was swole. Oh my god, I don't have the weights, and I also don't want to like spend that much money on food so that I would be in like that much of a calorie surplus every day to actually be gaining. Like that's not the ideal situation you want to be in while you're in quarantine, you know? Because you need to, in order to gain muscle, you have to be in a calorie surplus, and I'm like, that means I'd have to eat a lot more than I'm already eating. I'm like, nah, like that would cost too much right now. And also it doesn't help too, because like a lot of stuff is like out of stock. Because everybody like is buying stuff, and the trade routes are, you know, like the supply chains are kind of like iffy and things like that. So it's not really, you can't always get the fresh stuff, and like, I don't know. We're good. I'm good doing what I'm doing. I'm good doing what I'm doing, man. Whatever. When this is all over, I'll go back to like trying to put on a little bit more weight. I'll live my life as a skinny bitch. It's fine. Wish I was swole. It'll slow me down during my fights. My MMA fights that I definitely have, for sure. You lift 100 kilograms, but you think, oh my god, 100 kilograms. Oh, that's like 2 of me. Actually, though. Oh my gosh. You've been dropping weight like a fiend? Hell yeah. You like, oh, I mean, unless it's muscle weight, in which case, I'm sorry, I feel your pain. There's a fitness channel on our Discord. Yeah, like the activity, like on our Discord, we kind of like, if you guys want to like share like what you're doing like to stay active. It's not like a super active Discord that we have, but yeah, I'll send the link to the Discord in case you guys wanna join. It's my personal Discord for a bunch of friendos online to hang out with. So here you go. Here we go. Hey Allie, how you doing? Big muscular bodybuilder. For sure. For sure, man. For sure. Big. I am big girl. I mean, I really, like, I was putting on muscle though. That's the thing that's kind of like disappointing, is like I was actually making progress, and I was making it like really quite well. Like I was another thing too that I was like really close to doing was I was almost able to do pull-ups, like actually like fully do pull-ups, but now I kind of can't, because I don't have doors to support a pull-up bar. So I can't practice inside, and I don't have like, there's no ledges for me to like grab onto like anywhere around here. All the parks are closed and stuff, so I can't use like, I can't be like one of those obnoxious outdoor people that are like ha, like on the monkey bars. So I'm just kind of like, oh, whatever, it's cool. Maybe one day I'll be able to do a pull-up. I was so close though when I was training in the gym. I was like, really, I was getting close. It was to the point where when I was doing the lat pull downs, you know, lat pull downs, like where you use the bar or whatever. When I was doing lat pull downs, I was actually needing like leg braces to keep me seated, because I was doing more than my weight, my actual weight. So I was like lifting up off the stair, off of the seat. I was like, I can't, like, I'm literally like, I can't, like, but whatever. I'll have to restart when I go to the gym again, whenever that is, in like 9,000 years. I just hope everybody stays relatively healthy and safe. I can't really complain because we have everything we need. There's no actual complaints. I don't really know what I'm doing right now. I could like go further and keep doing this, or I could start dynameshing. I don't know. I think I'm gonna start. wear weights like Goku. Oh my gosh, yeah. I could start running with like a backpack on even. That wouldn't be a bad idea, but I feel like leg stuff, like I've been doing really well indoors with just like squats and things. God, Kelly. Hey Adam, how are you? I'm doing good. Athlean X, you'll have no excuse. Oh, okay. No excuses. Alright. I'm making excuses, aren't I? Ugh. Oh, I'm so sorry, McBobbles. I'm so sorry. I hope that she kicks its butt, dude. Like, that sucks. Yeah, I anybody who says that is a joke, honestly, like I don't understand, like why there's a reason why everybody's like, you know, everybody has to stay home. Like these sorts of orders would not happen if it was a joke, if it was a mistake, you know? I hope she gets better. I hope all you guys stay healthy. Okay, let's see. Let's do, well, for one, I'm gonna do a little bit of something, something, something. Can't sing the actual song at all, because if you even sing it, no matter how bad of a singer you are, YouTube be like, it's free real estate. Anyways, I'll do more of that water stuff when I pose it, I think. Kind of want to play around with some curved tubes though. That's what I was gonna do. And also wanted to take this, duplicate it. I want to make it so it's like choking itself. Well then. Man, Pretzel Rocks has gotten so much better recently. I feel like I say that every time. Like, it's just like, it honestly has been getting like this is all free to use music. I'm really surprised. Me like, there you go. Wow, a lot of you joined the Discord. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello. Looks like Dragalg. I don't know that Pokemon, dude. I like up until Gen 3 is like all I know for Pokemon. I played Pokemon Shield, but I just never like I just really wasn't into it. Like I didn't finish it or anything, so I really don't know. It's like a fractal of arms. I have no idea if this is gonna work. Or it looks stupid. I don't know. We'll see. I just kind of want to try it. Oh, that's kind of fun. I think it's kind of fun. Hello, Monty. Okay, see you, Doom. Yes, Monty. Hi. Okay, alright. Your dog has its head over your arm and you can't move it? It's meant to be. You have to keep your arm there now. It's his arm, it's not yours. But my fave Woobat is the Gen 5. Yeah. Woobat is the only Gen 5 Pokemon I know. Woobat, he's party boy. Actually, let's not do that. Let's just dynamesh this thing. Loady, loady, loady. This is the kind of style you want to dive into? Weird and abstract? Hell yes, do it up. Also, we might be crashing. I don't know. We'll see. Just let it like think for a second. Should make it do gang signs. Dude, I've made so many creatures and characters do gang signs before, just cause. Hey Jubo. Which character did I do? Half of all of them, actually. How do you work so fluidly? Just go with the flow? Yeah, you just like find shapes and then you kind of just try and stick with those shapes, like really like push that stuff. Let's see if I can escape it. No. We might be crashing. I'm just gonna give it like a couple of seconds to think. Maybe a minute. Hey Soul, how are you? It's been a minute. Manicures must be a nightmare. Yeah. Did I save? Relatively recently. I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. Like, it's just a cylinder. I think I just dynameshed it at way too high of a resolution. I didn't realize how big my character was in the scene. That's my bad though. Looking like we're back to making things that can murder. Yes. I mean, would manicures be a nightmare though, or would it be able to like use all of its other hands to paint its other nails and like sharpen its other nails faster than if you were to just do one and one, right? Is it a multitasking queen? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I know. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do while I wait for this is I'm gonna show you Monty's. That's what I'm gonna do. Monkey, you wanna say hi to stream? Come here. Come on. Come say hi to stream. Yes, stretchy boy. Good stretch. Come here. Come here. Right here. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Oh, yes. There we go. There go. There go. Oop. Hi. Hi. Yeah. Depends on how many eyes it has to do so many manicures at once. It has none. Doesn't need eyes. It just knows. You good boy? Yeah, so recently he had to, like last Wednesday, the reason why I didn't stream is because I took him to get a tooth removed. Unfortunately, the boyo is a spaz at chewing, and this back one up here, right there, he had to get that taken out because he just busted it. He just broke it open because he was just like, you know what I think I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna show this bone that it has no right being here. And the bone was like, you know what? I'm gonna show you have no right being here. Don't be cocky. And so now he doesn't get bones anymore because he's too spazzy at chewing. That sucks. Ah, there we go. That's why. You see, that is why it was lagging, but good thing. You gave me good luck. You made it so that the program wouldn't crash. Look at you. You're awesome. And now he's just kind of eating the equivalent of doggy McDonald's every day. Like, he gets, like, canned, soft, like, raw food every day because he doesn't, instead of his kibbles, because he can't have hard food until he's fully healed. Like, he's doing good. You're doing good, aren't you? You're a trooper. You're a freaking trooper. Yes, give me hugs. Give me hugs. Yes. Monty's always a good boy. I know. He hated going to the vet, though. It was just such a stressful experience, and they're so good with him, but he just, like, hates it so much, and I hate having to... Especially during this time, because everybody was wearing masks, and it was kind of scary looking, and you can only have one person per animal go in at a time. Everybody's in line with their animals outside, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, it was really, like... But... he needed to get that done, and he got it done, and he was a trooper, and I'm sure he feels a lot better now than he did when he broke that tooth, so... May know, can the Wacom 22 HD be mounted on an arm, or is it just a larger display? Yeah, mine is on an arm right now. Mine is on an arm, so yes, it can. Hey Seed, welcome back. I am not letting you buy my dog. No, he is my baby. No amount of money. No amount of money. Okay, you can go on the ground again. I'm sorry. I know you were just chilling on the floor, and then I had to pick you up. He's so lazy at this time of night. Usually he's so much more spazzy. Like, I tell you guys, like, yeah, he's a spaz at chewing and stuff like that. But then you see him just, like, completely potato sacking. And it's, like, so hard to believe that. It's so hard to believe how, like, yeah. Trust me, though. Trust me when I say he's an absolute freak when it comes to chewing on things. An absolute mad lad. Okay, let me just, like, quickly save in case this decides to, like, wig out on me again. Let me do that. Just gonna... and then delete higher. I can just do a regular Dynamesh. Really, it does not like this cylinder for some reason. I might have done something then, I guess. That's very odd. Alright, I'm gonna restart this. Close. Let me just get it up again. Boing. Oh. Oh my god. Wait, where'd he go? I'm back. Where's it? There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, layered. We'll just go back. We'll just go back. Beginning. No, not the beginning. We're fine. I'll just put down a new cylinder. For some reason, it just didn't like that one. That's okay. Yeah, see? What is this? What is this nonsense? Die. Delete. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay. Okay, I guess I'm not gonna Dynamesh cylinders today then. Yeah, it really don't like cylinders right now for some reason. Is it my file maybe? I have like something like messed up here. All right, hold on. One more crash. It's fine. It's not like this hasn't happened to us before. It's not like I haven't done this while I was streaming before. That is super weird. I don't know what's going on. I'm probably doing something weird. I don't know. Okay. Okay, let's see. What is, like... Okay, let me... Okay. Delete. So... If I, like, literally dynamesh anything, though, right? Like, am I just, like, messed? No, we're fine. It dynameshes. Okay, for some reason it's just the cylinder. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with the cylinder. Oh well, whatever, not gonna get stuck on it. Instead, we're gonna use a cube. Yes. Actually, better yet, cylinder 3D, make polymesh 3D, and then dynamesh it. Oh, big brain! Big brain. Big brain. Dynamesh! We win! Suck my very wonderful personality. Oh, you can't see! There we go. Sorry, every single time that I restart it, it's just like the visibility. I have to like click it on and off again. Sorry, my bad. Top and bottom face of cylinder has too many verts. I don't know what's going on with it. I think it's just, it was spazzing out. Anyways, it doesn't matter what it was, because we big brained that. Do you think it's worth it to join challenges? I feel like if it is a motivation for you to finish a project, then absolutely, yes. Big brain as the screen goes dark. No, I dynameshed it separate. Look, it's dynameshed, see? Look. Big brain! We're good. I don't even remember why I wanted to dynamesh it so bad now. Oh, whatever. Yeah, I might have been Adam, honestly. Like that's why I was like, let me just like dynamesh it elsewhere. Okay. Put dynamic back on, and I'm gonna save this. Yes. Yeah, if you make your own challenge though, I find it's a lot harder to stick to the goal, whereas like if it's an online challenge and you're posting things to a forum where other people can see it, other people are holding you essentially accountable, right? Alright. Right. I wanted to do sort of like a... this, and then want to do Standard, drag, alpha, bingo bango. Maybe too much. That wouldn't matter. One like. Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's there's peer pressure, but like in a good way, you know what I mean? Like it's good peer pressure because it's gonna get you to finish stuff. Yes, agreed, Sade. I completely agree. Just have to keep like shoving your head into into your screen. Just bash your head against it. More cowbell. Finished 100 days of sculpting last. Wow, 100 days in a row. That's pretty awesome. Good for you. Good for you. Right, I was gonna play with the clay things. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Let me get that. I think. Just using it stresses you out. You've gotten a bigger one. Oh yeah, yeah. The Cintiq 16-inch is just like, I feel like, I don't know. Like when you're using like an on-screen display, I feel like having more space is the whole reason why you would want to do that. But yeah, if you can get your hands on something that's like a bigger display, then for sure do that. I was able to do 60 days consecutively, then next 40 days breaks in between. Oh, okay, fair. Yeah, I was like, that's a lot of work though. Do I use UV Master to unwrap, or do I prefer to unwrap it using other software like Maya or Max? I'll use UV Master inside of ZBrush for quick concept pieces, like if I need to bring over a specific like texturing thing that I might have done from ZBrush, or if I wanted to bake down something, etc., etc. Like I'll just use like something quick, UV master. But if I'm doing like a full character with actual riggable topology and stuff, I'll do my UVs in Maya. What? $900 for a refurbished 24-inch? That's really, really... A 22 HD for 900? That's amazing. Yeah, the one that I got, well, I got mine for 1300 Canadian, and that was like on super sale, and it's not, it's like a new one, so I got really lucky with mine. But 900 is actually really freaking amazing. That's a great deal. need a little bit more of like a transition from these arms right here. I think I'm gonna make these just slightly bigger. Because it's not working so hot with the way that everything else is kind of like all of a sudden big right there. We need a little bit more of like a arm transition. This one. Can you make each set of arms do a step of the Macarena? Yeah. Since when did I? Oh, hi, Art. Yeah, I got it like around Christmas time. A little Christmas gift to myself because it was on hella sale, dude. Like almost like a good 40% off. I was like, I have to, absolutely have to. A Wacom companion. Yeah, I like Eric has like the first generation Wacom companion, Cinti companion. It's more of a pain to use than anything, but you know, at the time it was like cool. Which Wacom do I have, by the way? It's a 22 HD. How far do you take this initial concept before you add more resolution or Dynamesh? I usually get the whole thing kind of like hashed out before I really want, like, you know, start adding any kind of detail, because a lot of this comes down to, like, I don't really care too much about like the finer details. I want the silhouette to be looking really good, right? Like, and not just the silhouette, but like the overall read of the character or creature, or in this case, like this abstract thing that's just floating. I just want, like, you know, like the transition between everything to work well. And like right now, for example, like this is not working as well as I'd want it to, because the arms are kind of too small here. There's a little bit of like a transition from small to big that isn't happening properly, which is what I'm trying to get. So I'm probably going to edit this until I can get that working a little bit better. Here it could probably be tinier. And but I definitely will be Dynameshing stuff like this stream. It's just that this is a little bit more intense of a character, creature, whatever, what have you. So I'm spending a little bit more time on this stage than I normally do in these streams. So again, like all of these like tinier details you see with like these, like, you know, the scapula, or the scapulas, that sort of thing, whatever this is that's popping out here, it's still kind of following that overall curve. So everything that I'm doing, I'm following that base kind of curve that I'm doing, that I did rather, that's underneath everything, because then that'll give a stronger shape, and so all of these tiny things are kind of breaking up the underlying shape to give it a little bit more complexity. And that's where you start hearing people talking about, you know, primary shapes, like the primary shape, right? This is the primary shape, this underlying big C that I did, right? So like this thing, this is the primary shape. And so then what happens is I start working with secondary forms, and there isn't like a necessarily like a gray, like it's a gray line between like what's a secondary and a tertiary, and you know, like the fourth step, etc. But like essentially what you want to do is work on this in like waves, in sections. Think of it like it's tiered. So on top of the primary form, we're starting to get these secondary forms, right? Like these bigger or these tinier shapes that are still following that overall larger shape, and kind of adding a visual interest, like breaking stuff up, creating a little bit more flow that follows the underlying structure, right? So what do you do with your secondary shapes to break up the primary forms in an intelligent way that actually complements it rather than taking away from it? So what you're thinking about doing is making your eye follow the lines, right? So all of these shapes have lines. So your eye is going to follow these tapers in a sense as well. All of these secondary forms are helping your eye kind of go along this. As a whole, your eye is just gonna go like this, right? But there's not a lot of interesting things to stop and look at along the way. It's just whoosh. Whereas when you start having all of like the secondary form stuff going on, you can start to take a little bit of break, right, with your eye. However, what's also happening is it's moving you along. So all of these are following this overall shape, moving you along, and it's flowing. That's the point. That's the purpose of it. And so when you start getting into tertiary details, it's the same concept, right? You're taking these secondary forms and then breaking that down further. What can you do to break up the secondary forms in an intelligent way that follows what they were doing initially and complements the primary forms as well, right? Thank you, Alice. Thank you. Yes, a crescent. It's the moon boy. It's the man on the moon. In your mind as a designer, are you always thinking about design rules like the ISC curves or simple shapes on one side and complex on the other, etc.? Sort of, right? I mean, there are times where some of that's going to be broken, but for the most part, yes. In different ways though, right? Like I'm not gonna be doing this and specifically thinking. It kind of becomes an intuition. But when you initially start doing things, and especially when you're problem solving your designs, you do want to be thinking about those things specifically. You want to be like, okay, what about this is making it look too busy? Or what about this is making it feel off balance? You walk away from it and you come back and you start thinking about those fundamentals, and you can usually work out what it is that will help it. However, what I do see a lot of is kind of sticking to that rule so closely that it kind of loses all interesting things, and you kind of get like the same sort of like the samey design all the time, where it's got to have that flat side and then that really complex side. It's like, yes, but you can vary that, you know, like you can think about that in a more like you know, a more gray kind of way. Mix it up a little bit. It doesn't need to be 100% clear of details, right? But at the same time, there is some of that happening here, where you do have like this interior uh, crocodile, alligator, you do have this interior area that is a lot more calm. So, okay, on a primary level, and we're talking about that, we do have this calmness that happens on the inside. This negative space is very much just a very simple shape, whereas if you look on the outside, you start to get these lines that come whoop and then out and stuff like that. So you start to get that, like, a little bit of complexity versus that simplicity, the positive versus the negative. So there is that in the primary forms. And then when you get to the secondary forms, we start to break that down a little bit, and we start to think, okay, like, yes, we do want more of the complexity, but then do we want to add a little bit of simple shapes on top of that to kind of, I don't know how to explain it that well, because I'm kind of doing this on the fly, so bear with me. And this is something that's more of like, I'm trying to figure out how to explain intuition. But on top of like these primary forms where there was complexity in this area, I have decided to then go on top of it with secondary forms to create a simplicity on this side and complexity on the inside. So in a weird way, we're kind of inverting it when we start to add detail. Does that make sense? And that's a little bit more of, I guess, an advanced, and this is not something that I'm actively thinking about too. This is me trying to break down my design for you to kind of maybe try and make it make a little bit more sense, because it is sort of like an intuition thing with that comes with practice, and you start to just pick up on these things the more that you do it. But definitely look for those primary forms, like that strong shape that you can then break down with each step that you take with your shapes, right? That's essentially that's it. Yeah, primary shapes, complexity on this side. Yeah, lines that go whoop. It's 8. I think I'm gonna take like a really quick break. I'm gonna put this guy here. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna take a really quick washroom and tea break, and then I will be back. You can duplicate them by pressing Shift S on the keyboard, and they will it'll take a screenshot of your model in that angle, and then, like, so if you do like something in one angle, Shift S, and then you can move your model away from it because it's screenshotted it in that position. Let's do this, and I will be back in just a few minutes. My BRB, there we go. All right, I'll be back. Hello, I have returned. Want to get some snacky snacks. Mmm. Yee, how you guys doing? Hope you got up and did some stretches. Some stretches. Make sure you don't get them varicose veins. Lord knows I have one forming on the back of my leg. Lord knows I have one. Alright. How do I display multiple angles? Shift S will screenshot your character for you. Where do I get inspiration for my concepts? A whole bunch of different places, like so much stuff. Like it's just like a lot of it is real life, you know, like looking at like just animals that I find on like crazy Twitter accounts and stuff, like, or Pinterest boards that are just like full of like really crazy exotic looking weird characters or animals, sorry. And then just kind of thinking like, you know, it's like, what if you just had a whole bunch of arms like holding each other and stuff? Like I just think about stuff like that, and it's not like this sort of a thing hasn't been done, you know? Like you probably see multiple artists out there with character creation and sculpting that use multiple limbs, you know? Like something will have like 7 like arms on one side, just like, you know, and stuff like that. I'm sure there's like a lot of stuff out there like that. So it's just, I find a lot of this is sparked like if you ask yourself a question, what would happen if, and then fill in the blank. Like what could it look like if? So at the very beginning of this, I was just like, well, what happens if I just use toruses? Like what if I just use rings and only rings? What happens? And I didn't like it, and so then I asked myself a different question: what if I just use arms? And so you can, if you're working on something more abstract, sometimes that is kind of a fun way to create something, is give yourself a bounding box in a sense. Like put yourself in a little bit of like a challenge, like what happens if, and then fill in the blank, right? That's probably one of the best things that you can do if you want to like play around with shapes and ideas, is just what happens if. I really like asking that to myself. Did I go to lift weights? No. No. It's time for the mandated Union Ashley break. Bro, like, I go for 4 hours, man. I'm allowed a 5-minute break in between. In fact, it's healthy. And if anybody says, like, no, you're chained to your desk, you have to work like a computer slave, like, I don't know, man, that's not okay. That's not good. Like, you gotta get up. Like, I say take a break every single 2 hours that you're working. Even if you're like really into what you're doing, you gotta get up and stretch and make sure that your circulation is going through your body just fine. If you don't, you are prone to, at the very least, varicosing of your veins very early on, which is already, like, even with the breaks that I'm having, I have like weird, like, I have crappy veins, so I'm already like having some issues on one of my legs. But without, like, you know, taking breaks and making sure that you're getting proper circulation, you're also putting yourself at risk for things like blood clots. Like, why would you want a blood clot, or like deep vein thrombosis? You don't want that. So every 2 hours, it's also very good for your eyes and whatever it is that you're working on. Like, there's no bad things about every 2 hours standing up and, like, you know, just taking at least like 5 to 15 minutes of just, like, you know, walking around and doing something different and looking off away from your computer screen and then coming back to it. Like, it's an important thing for your health, for your eyes, for even your artistic senses, right? You're being able to see what it is that you're doing wrong happens after the 2 hour mark, in my opinion, anyways. When do I use orthographic and when to use perspective? By the way, you love ortho, come at me. I love working in ortho in the initial stages as well. You're always going to want to start in perspective, though, if you're working from a reference. If you're working from a reference, and it has to be quite literally like that reference, especially if it's a real world, like a real life like photograph. If you're working from a photograph, then that's taken with perspective, because you can't take an orthographic like photo, really. Like, it doesn't, like, that's, I mean, you can, but it's like not really, right? Like, there's still some sort of a yeah, there's some sort of a focal length to the camera lens, right? So you're gonna want to work in perspective and match your focal length to whatever it is your reference is. But if you're doing just like shape stuff like this, working in orthographic can actually help you see what the silhouette is going to be. So for me, I like working in ortho initially. It doesn't really matter, but it helps with like masking things off and seeing a direct, like what the direct thing is. But as you can see, when I go in perspective, it's not too different. But if you're working on likeness for a character and you start working in ortho and stay in ortho, you will have some very, very big surprises when you switch from ortho to perspective. Your head, the head that you were working on, will probably look much different, and it won't look like the person that you were sculpting initially, especially if you spent, like, you know, a whole day working on that head in ortho and then you decide to go to perspective. A lot of that work is down the drain. You're going to have to do a lot of reshaping, right? So you're definitely going to want to work in perspective for a lot of projects. $90mm camera with a measure rotating cylinder. Yes, I can take ortho. I mean, all right. But most people that are taking references from Google aren't taking it from 90mm cameras with a measured rotating cylinder, are they? Have I modeled something for an animation before? Yeah, that's actually my whole career. It is my career. What do I think of the Cintiq coming from Intuos? Love it. I absolutely love it. If you have the money for it, I say do it. If you don't have the money for it, the Intuos Pro works beautifully. It's still one of my favorite tablets. Eric, what are you saying? Uh-oh, is it because I'm talking about my veins? I'm just warning everybody about the dangers of sitting too long. Sometimes your veins just suck, like my veins. Whatever. But sometimes, you know, it's because of your lifestyle. What happens with no, nothing bad. It's just I'm noticing like I'm not gonna be like, I'm probably gonna go and like talk to a doctor about if it's a problem or not, but it's not been a problem. It's just my veins are very interesting to say the least. one specific vein in particular on one leg. So it's not a big deal, but I'm like, you know how medical anxiety be like, hey, there's something different happening to my body. I must be dying. But get up and stretch every like 2 hours for sure. Have I ever made my own character? Yeah? What do you mean? Of course. That's what I'm doing right now. You don't need my legs, you sculpt with your arms. Oh, okay. Great. I love that hubris. Did I go to school for this? No, I went to school for 2D animation. And I learned a lot of this via like just throwing myself at it, and pixelogic.com/zclassroom and a bunch of what's it called? YouTube videos. Is this still going? Is this still playing? That's just a long, quiet song. Weird. The war vet who is 99 and walked 100 laps of his backyard. Why? Well, how big was his backyard? Was it just like a... Like, if his backyard was just like a tiny square, then I'm like, okay. I mean, good, I'm glad he's 99 and like staying active. That's amazing, but what? I'm going full sale either this fall or next spring for computer animation. You're super hyped. Nice! I have no idea how, like, I know that like there's a lot of students that I've seen come out of full sale, but hopefully it's really good for you. 24 million for the NHS. Oh, nice. That's sweet. Any tips for posing your characters once you have it fully subdivided after projecting all the details from Dynamesh? Well, if you're posing your stuff and it's like too high res, your computer might be like super laggy. So if you're doing like some really crazy poses and you've got a lot of stuff to pose, I would recommend Z-remeshing it and projecting all the details onto subdivision levels, unless that's already like what you're talking about with subdividing. In which case, okay, great. Then shift D to the lowest subdivision level and do your poses via that. There is a Z plugin that I use. It comes with ZBrush. It's called Transpose Master. So you can T-pose your entire mesh. That'll throw the entire thing into one tool, which is very useful for masking things off and stuff, and it will preserve each tool that's right here as its own poly group. So you can control shift click on things to hide them and then mask the rest of it, and then basically be able to pose the entire character as one sub tool, which is very, very useful. And then after you're done with that, you can T-pose to sub D. And so then that will take everything that it was transferred into one tool and extrapolate that data back into all of these separate sub tools so that you have your original piece back, but now it's in that new pose. Why the last time Anna's video was suddenly stopped? When Anna was streaming, it stopped, like she just stopped streaming, I guess. She might have had connection issues? I don't know. I didn't see. think that's a little bit better of a transition. The tiny ones to the big chonkers. Yes, I'm using a Cintiq. A Cintiq. Alright, let's do a Dynamesh. No, Mama. It's okay. That was me making weird noises. My cameo in Despicable Me? I have a cameo in Despicable Me? Oh, it's Kelly saying that, okay. Kelly Johnson, more like Kelly Trollson, am I right? Some people don't do it, your character's already fully subdivided, so it's now making a crazy pose. Yeah. Yeah, like, definitely try doing that out. Try that out, try doing that, try that. Oh my gosh, wow, speaking, it's hard. It's hard sometimes. Render from ZBrush to Marmoset? If you're using Marmoset, typically it's for like, well, I haven't really used Marmoset. I don't really use Marmoset, but from my knowledge, like, in order to actually apply textures in Marmoset, you would need your UVs, right? I'm not sure if it supports like vertex colors or anything like that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that you might need your UVs to bake out your textures to then apply them in Marmoset, but I'm not 100% familiar with it. I use Keyshot a lot of the time, or Maya, or Cycles, for example. Like I don't like. Yeah, he bark. He bark. All right, so now we have this Dynamesh, and we can see we've maintained all of these artifacts, these beautiful artifacts. Yes. Yes. How do you export from ZBrush to Keyshot 9 for textures? I don't know if they have the bridge available for Keyshot 9 yet. I'm actually not 100% sure because I don't have Keyshot 9. I have Keyshot 8 right now. And I just use the bridge for that. If you want to import textures separately though, you have to save them as image files, right? And so if you're exporting like a color map from like a diffuse from ZBrush, then you're going to want to take whatever it is polypaint data that you have and make sure you have UVs, and then export that as a image file based on your UVs, and then you can put that in Keyshot as an image file. You can plug it into the node tree, but the thing is, if you don't have UVs and you're not using the bridge, I'm not 100% sure how that works, if that works. You know what I mean? Like the bridge just kind of like eliminates that. Does T-Pose Master save your polypaint or just subdivision information on your subtools? It should. Yeah, it should. Yeah, like if you Dynamesh though, like Dynameshing something will get rid of your polypaint data on that, but if you're just posing stuff in Subtool Master, it should maintain your polypaint information. Thank you, Art. I appreciate it. What's your favorite movie monster? There's no right answer, you know, but just pick one. Oh, I don't have a favorite, dude, but there's so many. Like, I love the stuff from Pacific Rim so much. I mean, anybody who says, like, Alien, who doesn't say Alien is lying, because Alien, like, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to think right off the top of my head. You know, like, anytime somebody asks me, like, oh, what's your favorite this? I'm like, ow, I never think about these things. Like, I really like a lot of stuff, but I never think about them. What's the brush that I'm using? Where to get? Right now I'm using MacCut, but I haven't even started using that. The ones that I was using in here, just Damien Standard and Inflate. That's it. That's really it. You can get that in ZBrush. And this is the /2 brush, which you can get inside of ZBrush as well, but you're gonna have to go into the lightbox menu, which is this right here. You want to kiss it? Oh, that's weird. You're weird. I mean, no kink shaming, I guess, but weird. Hey, Milano, how are you? Thank you, useful. How do I decide my details? I don't know, I just kind of figure, okay, well right here, I want this to be more like nasty and fleshy, kind of like brain-like, so then I start doing that sort of a thing. And I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of like sketching stuff that I do, again, it comes down to it being sort of like an intuitive thing. So me explaining it, like I can do my best, but I think a lot of it just comes down to I want to try and follow the shape language that I have going, and I'm trying to kind of like figure something out here, like what kind of shapes do I really want to go with. And I'm looking at more of like a pillowy kind of like brainy look. I do get something really to just flatten that. go. So again, like when I was talking earlier about flow, this is one of those things that will help overall flow, because what we're doing is we're grabbing that was kind of pointing down and not like really helping everything kind of come back together. But if you're starting here even and rolling down through here, you're going to come back here and it'll make it kind of attaches everything, which I find is really really nice. And it's sort of a continuation of this shape, but also the opposite of what's going on everywhere else. So there's opposites and continued shapes happening that I'm kind of subconsciously thinking about it. I'm trying to be actively aware of it so that I can kind of explain it to you guys a little bit better. Hey Maple, how are you? Hey Apple. Which style do I like most? Fantasy, alien, horror? I really like sci-fi and horror. Fantasy, it's got to be dark fantasy. I don't like, when I say dark fantasy, I don't mean things like the Dark Crystal. Like it's a personal taste of mine. I'm not saying that it was bad, and I'm not denying the actual talent that went into making the Dark Crystal, but that style is not, it's not something I'm super interested in. It doesn't really like, I like things that are a little bit more gritty. There's sort of like this, almost like, I really like nihilistic art. Does that make sense? Like if you look at it, it looks like it's like taking away your spark to live. I don't know how to like explain that. I like things that are just really like you feel like you're looking into a void when you're staring at it, kind of thing. Yeah, it's not my aesthetic. That's it, right? Like stuff like the Dark Crystal, Final Fantasy is not my aesthetic at all. Yeah, I just like, I like a lot of more gritty stuff. I do really like The Witcher though. I do really like The Witcher. There are some things in it that I'm like, eh. But overall the world is very, very beautiful. Pan's Labyrinth I actually don't mind at all. I like that a lot. Hellboy's all right. I think there's just like this aspect of, and this is a personal, again, personal preference. It doesn't mean that it's bad or anything like that. It's just what I am what I personally am gravitating towards. Hellboy, not so much, and I don't really. I think it's the same sort of thing with like just comic styles like that. There's something like I do like it in certain settings. I like the dynamicism of a lot of like the drawings that come out of things like that. But when it's like in film, and I don't know, I'm just like, I'm not huge on that. Yeah, pretty much. Actually, let me show you one of my favorite artists right now. You guys know Necro? Okay, let me see if he has an Instagram. Yes. This guy is like, oh, you're gonna love this, guys. Like, look at this. Unbelievable. Wait, let me get my socials out of the way. So obnoxious. Get out of there. Look. Just like gorgeous work. Absolutely fantastic. This is the kind of stuff, like, there's an elegance to it, right? Like it's very like shapely, and there's an elegance to this dark sort of grittiness that he has. You look at it and you feel like you feel something, and maybe that something is like, you feel like there's nothing in you. I don't know how to explain it. It's just so beautifully horrible. It's so well done. All of this stuff, man, it's just like, I really love his work. Really good stuff. So yeah, I'd say that this kind of thing is definitely up my alley. There's a lot more artists too. It's just really hard for me to like think about stuff, but I just kind of remembered Necro like as I was talking about that right there, because he's really cool. Haunting, yes, that's a good word. Haunting, yeah. I really like, so in sci-fi movies too, there's like this sort of, the reason why I think I like space related artwork as well is because it feels so lonely. Like, you know, and I'm not saying that to seem edgy or anything like that, but it does evoke something that's different from, I feel like, everyday life living on Earth. Like, it's so out there, but it exists. And you just think about yourself, like, if you were ever in a spaceship like light years away from anybody else, how insane of a concept that is, and just the loneliness that comes with that. It's, I don't know, I like it. It's weird. It's weird to talk about that. It's just like I like feeling like that. I like space because of that. It's so vast and unknown, and there's this darkness to it. It's wondrous, but so dark and unforgiving at the same time. And I think that's what it is, right? I don't want to be the edgelord though. Like, it's not because it's edgy that I'm like, you guys don't understand me, I'm so dark and mysterious, because I'm sure everybody has that feeling, especially when you watch like sci-fis in general. You got it, like, there's a reason why so many people like it, right? Like this feeling of just being alone. Okay, anyways. And then the horror when you find out you're not, you know, that's another really good one. When it's been playing up that you're so alone, and then the horror that kicks in when you realize, oh, there's something else there. There's something, yeah. Thank you, comics. I appreciate it. The color of your thumbnail background to your canvas background? Yes, I do. Yeah, because then it doesn't make it transparent though. It just kind of like is a box that's the same. It's just not distracting. Like, you can see it's a box. You try to avoid that feeling? I embrace it, dude. Like, I actually really, I don't know, like, it's, I don't know. I don't want to sound edgy. Like, that's just not, like, I'm not trying to sound edgy, you know? I find it comforting. It's so weird, like, I don't know, whatever. You've never heard me talk about my art, like what the things that I like in art too. It's because it's so hard for me to word without it, because I don't really understand it fully, and it's not something that I really think about too much. But I'm kind of on this tangent today of like people like asking like, okay, like what do we do with the design? Like how does all of that kind of stuff work? And so because I'm on these tangents, I'm kind of like also thinking about other things. So but that's not something that I'm actively thinking about. I don't like sit down and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna create a piece and I'm gonna be edgy about it today, you know? Like that's not really it. But I do like, and I don't know if like ethereal is the right word for it either, because there's a lot of aspects of the artwork that I create that I'm not 100% happy with, because it does feel a little bit too fantasy ethereal for my liking. It hasn't, like I know that like others like, you know, it's a very like it's got that, but like there's an aspect of my personal work that I'm trying to get a little bit more of that darkness in there that I feel in. There's a bit of frustration for me as well, because I can't quite nail down what it is that I'm looking for in my own art, right? But I do like dark stuff, just not like like in your face, like gore, like just ripping things apart. Like I don't find like Gears of War was a fun game, but I'm not here for like that kind of like bloodshed, you know? Like I like subtleties as well. I really like subtleties. You understand me better? Sweet. I don't. Yeah, exactly, Angelus, exactly. There's so much to it. Like, and it's saying something, I feel like there's something, like, something's being said. It's quiet, but it's being said. I think Necro might do something. I actually don't, I think he's doing like, I think he does everything painting. Like he's such an experienced illustrator. Thank you, Perry. I appreciate it. Not being able to describe why you like an art style. Yeah, you have to like really dissect it, right? Like you have to really break down what is it that I'm drawn to in this work? What makes it, like what's going on here? Like why am I feeling this way? Because a lot of the time you're just like, yes, that's what I like. Darn, I don't know how to explain why though. I had to really think about it. Like, okay, another thing too, another thing that I really like is when something is so incredibly menacing looking, but it's posed in a way that's like absolutely delicate. Like that, I think that's why I like hands so much, and I've been working with hands so much in my creatures, is because I'm trying to get like good at gesturing them in a way that like says like, you know, it's scary, but it's elegant. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a creepiness to elegance. They can work together in like this really cool way that I'm trying to kind of work out the kinks in a way. But again, that's sort of something that I don't actively think about. It's sort of, I'm just kind of thinking about things now as it's being asked. Like, oh man, so like here I want to show you like something that isn't quite the same style, but it's got like, so it was on trending on Art6. You guys probably saw it. Like what's the guy's name again? He's really good. Where's my, like, you guys probably know this guy, right? Let's see. Like this, Nikita. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. But there's something about this as well. You see that there's like there's a strength to like he simplifies everything here. It's simple, but it's complex at the same time. Can you even see my cursor? Or no, it doesn't want to show. Okay, but like you see that hand? Like that's my favorite. And this says a lot, right? Like you could interpret this in a lot of ways. It's not just like he was making it for the sake of making it. He's actually like, he's making kind of like a statement with this, right? Like this is heavy. It's pretty heavy if you really think about this. And I think that's incredible too, is the fact that, you know, you can use 3D art like you would use it in a way to like talk about something, right? Like you want to express something. It doesn't need to be in that fine art style. And that's what I love. I just and these like really like just that hand, man. Like I just love that hand. I want to like crop it and just like put it on my that little like the tendon right there. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Anyways. It is. It's awesome. It looks pretty light having it. I think, Bean, I think you're very close to the point. You're very close to the point there. Yeah, I think I really like artists who are completely unapologetic in 3D to doing things the way that they want to, and like not listening to like a lot of comments of like well, like, oh, it's not like 100% realistic or whatever. Like it's not necessarily about that, especially when you're like working on things that it's like it's specifically to make a statement, you know? And there's like a lot of things that I would like to talk about through artwork as well, that I just like I haven't really like found it yet though, you know. I'll get there. I know I'll get there with more years of experience and that, but for now I'm just kind of like enjoying the process, right? So when you ask me what's my favorite this or that or the other thing and why, it's difficult. It's difficult for me to answer. So I hope that that was adequate enough. Actually, I can leave that in there. Grab this. grab this stinky. Ah. Yeah, I agree, right? Anatomy. Yeah, anatomy's awesome. Why are things so heavy? Thoughts can be heavy. Do I know Arson? Potentially. Also, hi. How you doing? How you doing? Oh, thanks, Steven. Appreciate it. That I did that a while ago. Okay. How much time do we have? 45 minutes. Let's start. Grab. Yes. I want this. Actually, I don't know. Changing my mind. I want to try though. No. That's not the move. That ain't the move. Okay. It's just... I don't have like a set number of personal projects I try to finish every month art. I just kind of, if I feel like doing something, then I'll do it. Like, putting like a number on stuff like that is really detrimental to me getting things done for myself anyways. If it's for a client, that's completely different. That's a duty. Duty calls. But if it's like personal work, nah. I can't work like that. Step none. There we go. Where everything doesn't look quite the way you want and you feel like giving up, I walk away from the computer for a bit, and then I'll come back to it at a later time when I feel like I've had an adequate enough break. My eyes have had a break, so that I can come back and I can look at it and be like, you know, with a critical mind rather than like a positively critical mind rather than a negatively critical one. And I'm not beating myself up, rather I'm looking at the work that I'm doing and being like, okay, so what about this can I do better? Like what would help it, essentially. And so then I'm able to kind of, hopefully, usually, able to narrow down what it is that I was doing wrong over and over again because I took a break. I can actually see. And then I will fix it. And sometimes, you know, if something is not working so much for you, and you're mostly like in the early stages, and you're just like you just keep trying and trying and trying to make it work, but it's not working, then you might want to restart what it is that you're doing. And I don't say that lightly either. Like I do quite literally say like kill, like, okay, when I say kill your babies, it means don't be like precious with your work. Don't treat your work like they're your babies, right? You're gonna want to like kill the things off that aren't working. Like just, if it's not working, try something new, right? Like don't polish a turd, essentially. Don't, if it doesn't look good and it isn't looking good, you're gonna want to try something new. A lot, and this is kind of like a tricky thing to tell people who are just getting into 3D art as well, or just art in general. It's hard to tell somebody to, like, you know, just throw something away if it's not working, because a lot of the time, you know, you're gonna start off with something and you're gonna be immediately discouraged with it or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not working, right? So it's kind of a tricky thing. You have to reference back to what I said about the shapes. Are your shapes working? Like, look at the fundamentals. When you're thinking about killing off something that you're working and trying something new, you know, think about the fundamentals, and if a lot of the fundamentals are being broken and you're seeing all of these issues, and it would be more work to go in and fix it and polish this turd than it would be to start from the ground up with something cleaner that's working from primary forms to then secondary forms, etc., then, you know. Is Canada cold right now? Like, yeah, it was -6 this morning for some reason in Quebec. I don't know why. It's almost May. It was hailing yesterday. Oh no, Roy. Oh no. Yeah, you're gonna make a lot of garbage. You're gonna make a lot of garbage. Everybody makes a lot of garbage. Not everything is a winner. Okay, let's do quick saves. It's 20 in Alberta? What the heck? Why? Why? How? Oh my god. There's 2 here this morning? What the heck? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Sorry if it's a little disorienting the way that I work. I do spin a lot. Gotta make sure that like all of the bones, all the finger bones are all like more or less lined up with the wrist. Otherwise you're gonna have a wonky looking hand, which a few of these hands right now are definitely on the wonky side. We're gonna be fixing a lot of stuff, but it's all about the overall gesture initially. We go in and we start making it work. This guy right here, gonna want to, that finger, that fingy. Let's have it a little straighter. Not disorienting? Okay, good. Glad. Good, glad. How do I go about baking my maps? Well, if it's a polypaint that I've done in ZBrush, then I will just, you know, UV it quickly, and then, you know, then it's there. It's good. But if it's normals, sometimes I do it in ZBrush. Other times I'll do it in Substance. Substance is a pretty great baking tool in general. So many slapping hands, I know. I know. He can give a pretty good handshake. He's got a lot of really good, like, secret handshakes, you know? Are the pictures in the ZBrush screensaver folder that you can check out? So I actually don't know. That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, no worries, Art. What's the difference for real-time and VFX character? The VFX characters typically, like, it's rendered, it's pre-rendered. So what pre-rendered means is that you're able to have a lot more topology. Your characters can be a lot more dense mesh-wise. Your maps, you can have a lot more texture maps because you're rendering frames that could take, like, you know, it could take hundreds of minutes per frame for VFX stuff. Whereas if you're doing something real time, it means the computer needs to be able to process all of that information immediately so that you can see everything that's happening. So in games, you're not doing pre-rendering. The cinematics that you see for games, like cutscenes or whatever, might be pre-rendered, but in a game, that's all real time. So a lot of those characters are a lot lower mesh, like their resolution is a lot lower, and or their texture sizes are a lot less intensive. So in games, there's like a lot of real-time characters. There's a lot of workarounds and quick like nifty little tricks that you can do to get really like high level looking, like high resolution looking characters, even though you have a low resolution mesh that you're using. And that's what normal maps are for, right? Normal maps, bump maps, all of these kinds of things. Even, you know, when you start working with your spec maps and things, these sorts of things can trick the viewer into believing that they're looking at something a lot more complex than the mesh actually is. Whereas in visual effects, if you can model it, you're encouraged to model it, because the more detail you have, you know, it's all good because you're going to be pre-rendering it. And it doesn't need to be like, you know, when you're watching a movie, for example, you're not watching a movie as it's being rendered. The movie was rendered at the studios, the multiple VFX studios beforehand, long before you started watching it, and then it's in one movie format, right? Like it's in one file format for you to view. Whereas games is taking from a database of textures and meshes that are constantly being computed as you're looking at it. That's the difference. What's the story behind this guy? I don't have a story behind it. He's just the one thing that I was thinking of while I started making it was like, he's the man on the moon. He is the mythical man on the moon. I don't name my creations, not usually. The only ones that I really did were the more recent ones that I put on ArtStation. Because I don't really have stories for them, but I thought it was kind of like a guardian above and a guardian below, because I felt like they kind of lived in the same universe the way that I textured both of them, or not textured, but like comped and painted over both of them for the illustrations. They kind of like live in the same world, so I was like, well, maybe he lives underneath in the water below that first guardian that I did. Oh no. Oh no, Sade, I'm not gonna be opening any models in this stream or clicking any links or anything. The bunny on the moon? No, like, you know, like there's like the man in the moon or whatever. Like, he's a moon shape. He's just kind of sitting there on himself. I don't know. Remember when I first started streaming here, how I was always in such a rush to get everything like done as fast as possible? I love that that's not us anymore. I love that we're okay with like unfinished models by the end of all of these streams. I love that we're good with that. I love how chill that this has become. I used to be like so stressed out, like in the, like I'm talking like early days when I was streaming for Pixelogic. I'm talking like episode up to like episode 30 and stuff like that. I used to be like so stressed out and like put so much pressure on myself, like nobody wants to see like garbage models or whatever, and looking back at all those things, I'm like, it would have been fine if you chilled out. I was not chill. I couldn't chill. I was so stressy. I'm glad we're just like, we've learned, you know? We've learned to just relax and enjoy the process. Making a low poly version of this character, you do high poly bake on Substance Paint. For something like this, I would honestly just remesh, do auto UVs, and then send it to Substance Painter with that if I needed to. But the thing is, like, if I were to render this out, I'm likely just going to do that with keyshot and multiple material passes and then do a paint over of it afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, that's usually like my go-to quick way of doing an illustration. Like for pretty much everything I have on my ArtStation actually, but like, so this, here, I'll give you an example. So this guy, right? Like this was all great and stuff, but the thing is, like, it started with this. This is what I did on, like, so if you wanted to go and see like how I started with this one, it is on the Pixelogic YouTube channel. But then I would pose it, like this was asked earlier as well, if I do that kind of stuff, like if I pose asymmetrically, yes, but I usually stay symmetrical until I don't need to, and then I'll add asymmetry later, unless it's a very specifically asymmetrical character that I need to do. So yeah, this is sort of like the idea. And so like I would render out like the beauty shot. So this was like the beauty shot over here, right? And then in that pose, I would render out like, I don't know, I would put a metallic texture on it, and then or material on it, and then I would try like a velvet texture. I just put a whole bunch of different materials, sorry, not texture, materials on it in Keyshot, and just like edit a couple of things. Like if I wanted to make something a different color or roughness level, etc., I would just kind of like change it all in Keyshot, and the entire character would be that pass, right? Like it would all be in like either a metal or a velvet or whatever, and I'd have a whole bunch of these renders in the same pose, in the same angle, and then I would start overlaying them and painting, and then this is sort of what I get with like masking and things like that, is I can just paint on top of it afterwards and end up with something. And so this one I did a little bit more to, whereas this one is a little bit like a little less painting, more of just like the material passes that I would just go on top of, but it's the same idea, right? Oh, I appreciate it, Fire. I'm glad. I'm happy. That's awesome. I'm so glad you guys like it. Sade, you can send me a message on. I'm not gonna be opening your models or anything like that, Sade. But you can send me a message on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. Like, my DMs are open to everybody. Like, my responses time is usually pretty slow because there's like I get a lot of them. But you know, I do my best to try and answer questions if you guys have any, or you know, give you feedback if you specify what exactly it is that you want feedback on. Like, if you just say, hey, what do you think, there's not much that I can do, right? Like, I don't know if you're asking for critique or if you're asking to be told that you're doing well and you're doing a good job, keep going. Like, I'm not exactly sure what it is you're looking for, because if you're looking for critique, then I'll give you critique, but you need to be very specific about what it is. Like, hey, what do you think about the face of my character? Is it proportional? What could I do to improve it? You know, phrase it like that or something, rather than, hey, what do you think? And then just send me like 20 images and I'm like, I don't really know what I think, to be honest. You know, like, I don't know what you're looking for. So if you want to get a more constructive response from not just myself, but like any artist that you're asking for stuff, try that. Try to be a little bit more specific and say what it is you're looking for. Like, if you're looking to see if you're doing a good job, literally just be like, hey, do you think I'm doing well with this? Do you think I'm doing a good job? Do you think I'm on the right path? If you phrase it like that, then you're gonna get what you're looking for, right? And if you phrase it more like, hey, could you give me critique? I'm looking to improve on this. I think that there's something wrong, but I can't quite see it. Is it the anatomy, etc.? Phrase it like that. It's a little bit more specific, you're gonna get critique, right? If you just say, hey, what do you think? That's so broad, and if you're not looking for critique, and then somebody gives you critique, it could be a really big blow, because you're like, well, I wasn't looking for that. I just wanted you to say, like, that I was doing, like, you know, that I'm doing well, and if I'm not doing well, what I can do to, like, you know, be better or whatever. Like, I wasn't looking for a specific critique or anything. Well, you gotta be specific. Anyways, little rant. My bad. Just I get a lot of DMs, and I really do want to answer everybody, but I'm trying to help you. I'm helping you help me, and helping you to then be able to ask other artists that you look up to as well, you know, because they might not be responding exactly to you because of the same reason, right? When making your concepts, do you map it out in Photoshop or more traditional? Like, when I'm doing stuff, like, it really depends, because I also draw, right? So sometimes I'll draw stuff, but if I'm just wanting to do whatever in 3D, I don't need to plan it out. Like, I'm not really that kind of, I'll jump into it the same way that I jump into you know, a lot of different sculpts that I do here on this channel. Like, I just kind of put down a shape and I start working from that without really any ideas beforehand. I just kind of like go at it. Yeah. All right. Also, I'll tell you the reason why I'm subdividing right now with these arms instead of dynameshing. Typically I would be dynameshing, and I will dynamesh later, but the thing is I want to be able to move the fingers separately from each other, and because of that, then I have to work with a subdivision level, because if you dynamesh it, then all of these fingers that are really close together, they're all just gonna fuse, right? So I'm just gonna kind of work with subdivision levels, which is totally fine because it'll give me enough resolution anyways. But I'm gonna definitely be connecting them to the body. If I continue this sculpt, I would be connecting them to the body and dynameshing or merging by union, etc. Etc. As a first-time user, is ZBrush good tool to learn? You mean it's like your first thing in 3D? I would honestly, like, as much as I would, you know what, if I were you, like, you could always try ZBrush for 30 days, right? You could try it for 30 days before jumping into it or anything like that. And I definitely recommend that you do get ZBrush if you're going to become a character artist, especially. However, when you're first starting out in 3D, I would actually recommend that you pick up something to do with a general 3D package, like a trial for Maya, or even like Blender. But like, just so that you could like walk through the 3D pipeline and get everything down that you need to get down, because if you just jump into sculpting, you're not going to understand what the pipeline is, and ZBrush is an essential part of the character pipeline. However, if you don't know what that pipeline is, you're gonna struggle. So I would definitely pick up a software like Max or Maya, or, you know, Blender is free. It's not exactly the best, but it'll teach you. You can learn very easily using it, right? What the 3D pipeline is. So if you're an absolute beginner to 3D, I don't recommend you jump into a specialist software right away. I think that you should put it on your back burner and understand that yes, eventually you're going to get there, and you're definitely going to use it for the industry. Like, you know, if you want to be an industry standard artist and you want your, you know, the tool set that you have to make your work go faster, but just starting out, don't bog yourself down with that, and don't like make yourself hyper focused because you don't know what the whole pipeline is yet. So I would definitely do that. What's my poly count? It doesn't really matter, honestly. This one is only, it's not even 7 million. I work with really high poly counts, dude. Like really high poly counts. Well, point counts in ZBrush, because they're not technically polygons, they're points as a 2.5D program, right? And that's why you're able to work with such high levels of resolution. It's because it's not true 3D, which is actually quite impressive. It's very interesting. But yeah, like, it's I work with super high res stuff. And then I'll remesh later and bake all my details down if I need to, etc. You know how it is. But yeah, don't worry about poly count. However, if you were sculpting here, let me garbage all over Blender for a second. If you were sculpting in Blender and you had this many polygons and you were trying to get to this level of detail, boy, good luck. That's all I have to say. So, so like I said, as a beginner, to understand the pipeline, to understand the pipeline, I do recommend using a program like that, just to make, like, you know, if you were on my Twitter here, I'll throw up my my socials. There you go. You can follow exactly what it is that I'm even talking about here. But if you're on my Twitter, then you saw that I did that donut recently, right? That donut, you can get that tutorial from Blender Guru, who will teach you the entire 3D pipeline. After that, I highly recommend, once you start, you know, you've been doing this for a while, I would recommend that you start to supplement different aspects, like the texture painting side of Blender. Absolute garbage. I don't care what, don't try it, don't at me. Absolute garbage, absolute flaming garbage. You would want to substitute that for Substance Painter, right? So if you were to use Substance Painter, you get a much better results because you have so many more tools available to you. However, it's an entire new program to learn on top of the whole 3D suite, right? Which is why I'm like, okay, if you're an absolute beginner, that's what you're gonna want. Now, if you already know the 3D pipeline, if you're a little bit seasoned, you got that salt and pepper on you, and you know you've been baking for a good, you know, 30 minutes at 450 degrees Celsius, then you're ready to start specializing and separating into different programs. So in that case, if you're working on getting your sculpt on, I definitely recommend ZBrush. Absolutely, hands down, yes. Throw Blender to the curb, get it out of here. Get into ZBrush and jump into the link right over there, pixellogic.com/zclassroom, and they have all kinds of tutorials for ZBrush, ranging from beginners all the way to intermediate stuff. So you can actually get started fairly easily with the UI and everything with their the Pixellogic devs. Just, they have you set over there. There's a whole ton of other streamers on here as well that can help you out. So there's lots of resources available for ZBrush stuff, and I absolutely, yes, hands down, kick that Blender to the curb. But as an absolute beginner, yes, that's for sure okay. Yes, hashtag ask ZBrush on YouTube as well is fantastic. Yes, I agree, right? You gotta try stuff, and there's trials for a lot of these programs. Just make sure that you've done your research, you've got some tutorials on hand, so that, you know, when you do a trial, you're not just like jumping into it, but you've got kind of like a little bit of a structure to follow to give yourself that boost, like, you know, that success right off the bat. It's really important to give yourself a win right off the bat when you're learning a new software, so you have that motivation to continue. If you're not giving yourself that win, then you're gonna look at that software, you're gonna be like, oh god, like I can't learn this. But if you make something successfully, you know, you're gonna really feel like you can keep going. You're gonna think that, you know, the world is your oyster, and that's important. That's that motivation boost, you know. So make sure that you're researching, you got your tutorials ready, you know what it is that you want to do. That's really simple. Simple is the key, right? Start off simple. Always start off really simple. Don't jump into 3D being like, I'm gonna start with a hyper real night that's, you know, blur level quality. Like, nah. Hold on. Make a donut. make a barrel. Like anything. Make a rock. Trust me, I went through my rock phase as well. And I'm saying this out of experience too, because I probably could have learned 3D a hell of a lot faster if I didn't just jump into like a specialty program right away. However, because I jumped into ZBrush right away, I knew that sculpting was what I wanted to do, even though I was just like absolute garbage at it. I was so bad because I didn't understand what everything was. I didn't understand the pipeline. But then I started doing like rocks and things like that in Maya, and I learned the pipeline, and I realized like how bad all this time, you know, before, like I'm talking like this is years and years ago now, when I was using ZBrush, like how I was doing everything wrong and how much of a waste of time that was, because I wasn't learning anything when I was doing the program, right? Like when I was using ZBrush, I wasn't actually learning anything. I was just kind of enjoying like just making like globs essentially. But then once I learned like, you know, why everything works the way it works, and I made like, you know, my first couple of rocks, and I made a barrel and like a bunch of these other things that were like game ready and stuff like that. And then I finally made like my first character from like, you know, I started with a sculpt in ZBrush, and then I moved to Maya, retopologized it, all of that, did that whole like, it was a simple character too. I did like a turtle for my 4th year film, which was a struggle, right? Because like that was like the first real time that I was learning like what the pipeline was. So there was so many pitfalls that I made, because I thought, oh yeah, I can sculpt in ZBrush, so I'll have my whole character, like no worries, like I can do this. Like no, it wasn't like that when I was, and again, like this is years ago, right? So you're gonna wanna take my word for it. Don't jump into anything specific. Learn that pipeline first so you don't waste your time and you don't get things muddy, you know? Don't muddy up your knowledge and then have to go and correct yourself afterwards. It's mesmerizing. Oh, thank you. But you do your work though. We're gonna be ending here in like just 2 minutes anyways. I'm just gonna answer a couple more questions. But yeah, I highly recommend ZBrush. Absolutely recommend it. Like there's no other reason why I would be streaming here. It's such a great program, dude. And like, especially if you are a character artist, or you want to make like, you know, illustration concept pieces, all that kind of stuff. Like it's fantastic. It's so great. I don't think that that's necessary, comics. Like, I don't see why a rigging an animation system for ZBrush would be necessary, because it's not a all-encompassing 3D suite. It's a specialist program, right? It specializes in sculpting. It's all about sculpting. It's specifically a digital sculpting tool, and that's what it's good at, and that's what it focuses on, and it implements new tools every release that complement that specifically. So for Pixelogic to implement rigging and animation, I personally don't see that happening. But I also don't work for them, so I don't know what's going on. But I just don't think that's gonna happen, because that's more of something that you would see in a 3D suite, right? What was my first character? Oh gosh, I don't... I think the first time I opened up Max, I like started dragging out polygons to make like this god awful dragon. It was horrible. I don't have it saved anymore. Do you find it better to box model in a program like Maya and then bring it to ZBrush, or do I just start? I personally just start in ZBrush, but I know plenty of people that are more comfortable and more confident doing a base model in Maya first and then going to ZBrush. If it's something hard surface, I know that is especially increased as well. Like a lot of people will start in Maya because of the 3D tools, 3D modeling tools that are available. There's 3D modeling tools available in ZBrush as well, so you can do a lot of hard surface stuff in ZBrush, like no problem. But I know that a lot of people are more comfortable with other tools as well. So if you wanted to add more details to your hard surface model afterwards, then you would bring your Maya model into ZBrush to give it that extra kick in the nuts, you know? Yeah, beginners and dragons is just a thing, you know? Like, absolutely. I was a dragon nut up until a while, like, it's only like, yeah, I don't know. I was just so into dragons, man. Dinosaurs and dragons. I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Here, I'm gonna drop my socials and let's see who else is gonna be streaming after me tonight. Anybody? Nope, nobody's streaming tonight, but tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Paul Gabery, which is he's a Pixelogic dev. Paul Gabery, if you don't know him, he's going to be streaming at 3 p.m. PST, and he's going to be answering a whole bunch of questions and also just showing you a bunch of really cool ZBrush tricks and stuff that you probably didn't know. So if you want to see a Pixelogic dev, and right after that another one, Solomon Blair is going to be streaming. Actually, Solomon Blair looks like is streaming first before Paul Gabery. It's just opposite. So he's at 11 a.m. PST, and then Paul at 3 p.m. PST. So I would definitely check that out and ask them any questions you might have about ZBrush. Past that, you can follow me on any of my socials, which are on the screen, and I also posted it in the chat. Yeah. Also, if you haven't tried ZBrush and you do want to try it after everything that I've said and you understand all that, I highly recommend it. Really do. It's a lot of fun. They offer a free trial. Pixelogic is offering a free trial for 30 days. So if you want to just like mess around with it, you know, maybe try out a couple of the tools, maybe look at a couple of tutorials online when you get that 30-day trial, so you make the most of your 30 days and figure out if it's something that you like or not. I promise you, you're gonna get addicted because it's super fun. Okay, all right, I think that's it. Feel good? Hope you stay healthy and have a great night. Happy, healthy, good night. Bye guys. See you in the next one. Bye bye.